Okay. All right. We got it now. Hey, Kuma. So y'all, I was quoted in a Forbes article. I was quoted on Forbes. I It just feels like I'm super official now. So the article that is my background, and the article that I'm gonna tag on YouTube is the article that I was quoted on. Yeah, green screen Jada. The only reason why I'm okay with green screen today is because I know that the good quality is gonna be on YouTube. So I'm okay today. I'm okay today. Oh, let me fix that, cover that up. So but yeah, I was quoted in Forbes in this article. And I um I was thank you. I was really intrigued because it was a call for thank you, Vegas. It was a call for people who are TikTok users, TikTok creators who have like thoughts on the ban and talking about how is going to navigate it, how to navigate it. What are you doing now that is looking like this ban is going to be a go, and what are the next steps? Like, I think that one thing that I didn't take into account that I feel that I want to make sure that I address is the amount of stress that shifting to a new platform can cause you. Like, whether you're a seasoned creator or not, yeah, seasoned creator or not, it is a very stressful process, and it's not as cut and dry as tell people to go to this platform, right? Like, if anything, if I learned anything from the challenge that I did last month, the 30-day challenge, the live stream challenge, is that it is really, really challenging to take your audience from one platform to another. Like, it's not an easy thing to do. And a lot of times it takes time. And most times, honestly, it's just easier to start from scratch on a new platform. Like, it's so much easier to just start from scratch than to try to get people to migrate to another place. And one of the things that has always been fascinating to me about TikTok is how hard it is to get people off of TikTok. Like, has anybody else ever experienced that before? Yeah, it is like it's for yeah. I'll talk about that in a second too. But has anybody ever like have you ever felt like it's incredibly difficult to get people off of the platform? If you have ever had a community that you were growing, or some kind of list that you were growing, or maybe you were trying to create a community that is not associated with TikTok, and you have experienced the challenge in getting people to transition to a new space, it is incredibly hard to get people to shift, right? And so most times, like, that comes with a commitment to growing it over time. Yeah, and that comes with a commitment to growing it over time. But I think that there's this thing about TikTok that makes it special. Like, it makes it a it makes it unique. And it is one of those platforms that revolutionized social media. And it was a moment. It's been a moment. And how the way that it disrupted the whole social media landscape when it came on the scene. And so you can't you can't deny the impact that the platform has had on the culture at large. Like, as a whole, it's really done some amazing stuff. And one of the things that I realized that I hadn't really given thought to is how many people found their voice using TikTok. and they felt um affirmed. Sometimes people just like, I'm gonna call it what it is, felt validated. I know I felt validated at times. Like, I do know what I'm talking about. People do actually want to hear from me, and I am making content that matters. And I'm not just doing this and just talking to myself. And that has been the frustration that I've had in growing other platforms. Like I've told y'all before, it had me questioning if I was a good creator. I was like, clearly, I'm not meant to do this. I'm not good at this. It's not working. Like it's not clicking. It just feels so incredibly difficult to grow on any platform. And so the community and the notoriety that I was able to get from being on TikTok, it was something that I could never like act like it didn't contribute to that. And so I know that for a lot of happy Monday, Kayla. I know for a lot of creators who got their start on TikTok and found popularity. They found business. They have created this following, this community of people on this platform, and regardless of whether this was their first platform creating content, or whether they maybe have been growing on other platforms, but just not feeling like it was being seen or recognized. It is there's a lot to say about how big of a shift this will be for people, which goes back to me saying that it is stressful. Like it's stressful, and it is more than okay. Like you are validated in your feelings of frustration, of stress, of discouragement, of confusion with this potential ban, right? And with each day, it feels less and less like it's potential, and more like, nah, this is the thing. Like this is where we are now. And so I have felt particularly um like burdened by the topic, and not in a bad way necessarily, but more so in a way where I feel like I have a role to play in helping the people who want to expand beyond TikTok, and helping them navigate what that looks like. And I said this a few weeks ago, and let me know if y'all were around when I had this conversation. But I was talking about how I I feel like I wanted to host like a workshop that shows people how to build a community that doesn't rely on social media, like that doesn't rely on the platforms. What does it look like to create a community, to create a space, to cultivate events and conversations and spaces where your people can exist and thrive, and creating an entire ecosystem around the things that you care about, the things that you are passionate about, the things that you help people to do. What does it look like to create a space like that that doesn't just strictly exist on TikTok? Right. And I felt like then this was a few weeks ago, before we knew what it was looking like. This was before the appeal was denied and everything. We were just talking about, like, what does it look like regardless of what happens with the platform, what does it look like to say that I'm going to be courageous enough to create what it is that I truly desire? And let me say, because this just came to me, y'all. So let me say this, because this is the feeling that I'm getting. And y'all, just if it's you, just raise your hand, okay? All right. I'm not trying to come for nobody, I promise you. But I feel like we got to be straight up about this, okay? All right. So I feel like TikTok for many people has become a comfort zone, and it has become easy. It has become not even necessarily predictable, but it was the most accessible, which makes sense. Like, you're not crazy and saying that it is so much easier to create content on TikTok, because it is, okay? And I cannot act like it's not. It is so much easier to create content on TikTok than any other platform. It just makes it so much easier to create. However, one thing that I feel like people didn't take advantage of, that you still have an opportunity to take advantage of now, okay? Because the clock is not up yet. But I don't feel like people took advantage of using TikTok as a platform to experiment. Like, this shouldn't be, and yeah, this shouldn't be the end all be all for you. Like, one of the great things about TikTok, and this is something that I've shared multiple times before, but I think that now it is going to be more relevant because you can now see how to apply it to what you do. Okay. But I've always said that TikTok is a great place to experiment. It is a great place for you to create as much content as you possibly can and to see what works. It is a great place to gather data. It is a great place to gain visibility. It is a great place for you to get engagement and get people talking to you so that you can take that information, you can take that engagement, you can take that community, you can take those conversations, and then you can continue to create what it is that you desire without it all existing on TikTok. And so I don't know how many people were around when I was kind of like going hard against all of these new features on TikTok. Yeah. Yeah. You got a couple things to try out. Who else got some stuff they want to try out before the TikTok ban is up? That's a really good question. Who else has something that you want to try out? What's something that you want to experiment with and give it a shot? And see, like, if I really give this energy, what would it look like to make this into content? We met at an Ethiopian restaurant? Oh, girl. It's good to see you. Oh, wow. Well, did we meet at the one in Alexandria? Yes. Oh, girl. It is so good to see you. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you found me. Yeah, I met somebody, she, once she's a content creator. I met her and, yeah, I was on a date. Yeah. I was on a date and I met her at the restaurant, at the Ethiopian restaurant, and when she said Ethiopian, I knew she knew me for real because y'all know I love Ethiopian food, and so, we connected over content creation. Yes, definitely message me. Oh, that's so cool. It's so good to see you. Yeah, so there are some things that I wanna try out, like, and you wanna know, like, for me, what I really wanna test out is I just wanna test out different concept. Yeah, it's good. Maybe we should meet up again and get Ethiopian food. That would be fun. That would be a really fun meetup. So, I wanna try out what like, just, like, some different concepts, some different ideas, some things that I feel like I really wanna just get off my chest and see how it works, and so, you know how, like, you have ideas, you have, like, these different thoughts throughout the day, and you think about it, and you're like, "Man, that would be a really good topic to talk about," and then instead of taking out your phone and recording it, you just, like, go about your day. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. That's why I always say the best content is in our heads because we have so many things that because we don't know exactly the best way to say it, and I don't want it to be a rant or I don't want it to be a super long video. And it's like at this point, just make the video. Like just make the content. Talk about the idea. If it's a flop, it's a flop. But if it's not, like, it at least will give you more information than it just being an idea in your head, and so, like, that's what I want this month to be, these 30 something days that we got left. I want it to just be a time of instead of just, like, sitting on all these ideas, what would it look like to turn this into content? What would it look like to, instead of feeling like I got to create something and have all the ideas and I got to have all the answers and I got to have it exactly lined out the way that it needs to be? What if I put out an idea that's still in progress? What if I talk about some things that I don't have the answer to it just yet, but this is what I'm doing now? This is how I'm maneuvering through it. This is what the journey looks like. This is the idea, and maybe even me sharing this idea and people giving me their thoughts on it will help me to better formulate how I want to approach this topic. You know what I'm saying? Like, what would it look like to take all of these ideas and concepts that we just sit on and then just talk them out? And I used to be really good at that. However, I feel like, especially with my focus this year and improving like the like aesthetics of my video. Thank you so much for the roses. The aesthetics of my video and the way that I want it to look. Like, I've been using my camera more. I got a Sony A6600, so I've been using my Sony more for content, and I've been wanting to like flex my creative skills a little bit more and challenge myself because I was starting to feel bored with my content. And so I feel like there was a part of me that knew this and I didn't listen to it. Okay. But there's a part of me that was feeling like I really should spend less time creating this high quality content for TikTok. And I should go back to using TikTok exactly how I was using it before. And that is just putting stuff out there, trying out new things, and then taking those ideas and refining them for other platforms. And I felt it deep down in my shondo. Okay. I felt it so strong. And then I still didn't do it. And what like the one of the benefits that I have found with TikTok is that it is, again, like, it is a really good place for you to just test out new things. Like, if I could compare it to anything, like, I would say like TikTok is where you do your rough drafts. Like, TikTok is where you got the idea, you got the concept, you have tools inside of the platform that allow you to create these ideas relatively easily, right? Like, it's relatively quick. It's not as hard or complicated to use filters and different effects. So you can really do a lot of things with the native features in the platform, right? And so even if it's not the most polished, even if it's not the most put together, even if it's like not the best scripted or the most thought out, the best thought out product, I am putting out my rough draft and I'm testing out the concept. Like, and really focusing more on not just like, you know, on the content wheel, just like churning out content, but like reacting when I get inspired. That's a better way to put it. Reacting when I get inspired and allowing the platform not only to serve as a means for me to connect with people, but also a space for me to not get stuck in trying to overly curate or overly perfect something or get too caught up in my head about that. And so that's what I feel like I want to get back to as it pertains to that platform, TikTok specifically, and taking the information that I'm getting, the visibility that I'm getting, and allowing that to lead into my community, right? And so not just letting it sit here, but thinking, what purpose does each platform serve for me? What type of content is the best suited for each platform? What am I using each one to direct people to? And then how can I create a system that allows me to continue to create and continue to maneuver through this without having so many like bottlenecks and so many um like walls and just like moments where I feel stuck. Like, how can I navigate um those times as much as possible? Because I don't know about y'all, but especially lately, I've been telling myself the lie that I don't know what to create. Like, some days I'll wake up and I'll be like, man, I don't know what to talk about. And can I be honest with y'all? That's not the truth. I'm so glad, Nala. That's not the truth. I can first of all, if the challenge I did last month I went live every day on TikTok and YouTube. And I was so freaked out because I was like, man, what am I going to talk about for 30 days? Like, what am I going to get on here and talk about every day? And every day, aside from the 12 days where I talked about the brand personalities, aside from that, I was on here. I literally was like, even if I didn't really know what I wanted to talk about, I was getting on here and talking easily for an hour, easily. So just the fact that for 30 days, an hour every day for 30 days consecutively, I was able to talk. I filled up all of that time, all of that time with information. So I could never ever say, I can never tell myself I don't have an idea. I couldn't. What I was lacking were the systems that allowed me to create more freely. I was lacking the systems that allowed me to say, okay, if I know that I want to sit and reflect for an hour at the beginning of the week, what is on my mind? What's on my heart? What do I need to process? What am I feeling? And then taking all of those revelations, those insights, and then turning that into content that now speaks to the people that I serve in my community. Yeah. And that's the thing, like, if you really think about it, you will never run out of ideas. Like, and I think that that's one of those things where that is like coming from a place of lack. Like, that's coming from a place of fear that I don't have enough. I won't have enough. I can't keep this up. I can't maintain this. I can't keep this momentum up. I'm going to mess this up. If I take it too far, if I go too far with this, how am I going to, like, am I going to flop? Am I going to is it going to am I going to burn myself out? Like, there are so many fears that can come up that make it hard for you to actually see, no, I actually created a plan. And even if it's not the most well thought out plan, I have concepts, I have ideas, I have thoughts constantly. I am never at a deficit when it comes to creativity. I'm never at a deficit when it comes to ideas. I am not depleted. I have exceedingly abundantly more than I could ask, think, or imagine. Y'all know that scripture, right? Like, I like apply it to your ability to create, your ability to think of concepts, your ability to solve problems, your ability to create art. I am not at a deficit when it comes to creativity. I'm not. And I think that when we say that, what's up, Mike? When we say that, it is not only is it a declaration, and a affirmation. Shout out to Kayla. It also allows you to shift your focus from this is a this is a resource issue, and really focus on what the real problem is. Like, it almost like it removes what we have, like, made the issue, what we've made the problem, and we get to the root of it. Like, at the root of it, I'm not lacking ideas, I'm lacking courage. Right now, I'm just so scared. I'm so scared that it's going to end up like it did last time. I am so afraid to dream about what this could possibly be, because what if I get disappointed? What if my dreams are too unrealistic? What if I set these goals and get myself so excited all to just be let down? Like, those are the kinds of things where, when we stop blaming it on what we perceive to be the issue and actually find out the root of it, then we can experience breakthrough, and we can experience freedom, and we can find solutions to our problems. We can actually figure out, okay, it's not me. It is a matter of, I don't know what type of programs to use in order to schedule my content. Or every time I get to my computer and I try to type something, I feel this block. It's not because I don't have ideas. It's not because I'm not smart. It's not because I don't know what I want to talk about. But maybe instead of typing first, maybe I need to write it first. Maybe that's my flow. Maybe I need to sit and do a voice memo and then take that voice memo and look at what I can pull as ideas from it. For me, one of the things that I'm learning helps me with my system and content creation and to break up that stagnation that I feel is I journal out my ideas. Sometimes I just like talk them out, like I just like speak them, and then I upload them to Chat GPT and I ask it some questions. I'm like, okay, so from this, what are some themes that you're recognizing from this content? What are some things that I can expound on? What are some things that would be useful for my community to hear from this, from what I just shared? And looking at it not as it's giving me the ideas, but it's helping me to organize my thoughts and turn them into action. You get what I'm saying? Like, how can I take the ideas and turn them into execution, turn them into steps that I can now take to show myself that I can do this, to knock some things off of my checklist. And I think that that's like, if I'm honest with y'all, that is what I feel is the plight of so many creative people right now, is that we feel like we have so many ideas, so much is in our minds, and so much of it excites us, so much of it is like, yes, yes, this, I love this, I like this, like what does this mean, what does this look like? And we don't know all the time how to take our ideas and turn them into reality. How do we make them tangible? How do we make this something that I can use or I can sell or I can show later? Like, what does it look like to actually execute on the things that I come up with? And the thing about executing, y'all, is that when you execute, especially as a creative person, it builds your confidence, and that's what so many of us are struggling with right now. Like when we actually execute things, even if it flops, like even if it doesn't work the way that we want it to, we can still be encouraged by the fact that, oh, this happened because of that. And I noticed this when I tried that, or this wasn't the best way to do it, but when I did this idea, so and so recognized it and they really liked it. And you feel so much more confident and inspired and willing to keep going and try things the more you show yourself that you can execute. Like the execution is the piece that's missing. Heavy on the organize your thoughts. Currently my mind be like a bedroom floor, but I need a dry cleaning service system. Yeah. I want to share, I'm going to share a system that is helping me to execute, and it's going to involve AI. So if there's anybody that has apprehensions about AI, I hear you. You can definitely navigate it with the questions that I ask without it, but I would really encourage you to find a way for you to utilize AI, um, because it has really helped me so much. Like, and I just don't even know how else to describe it, y'all. Like, it has been one of the most valuable tools that I've used this year once I stopped fighting it, because I was fighting it. But it helped me to do so much. Like for real, y'all. It helped me to write my workbook. So I have a Get Unshy workbook. It helped me to get the workbook finished. It helped me to create my first event, the socially awkward hour. It helped me to create the my website and rebrand my website and revamp it. It helped me to create uh different content that I have felt really has um improve like my authority, and like the fact, like showing that I know what I'm talking about, is helped me to write more blog posts this year, which was a goal that I had. It has helped me to send out more emails and be more consistent with that, because that's one of the things that's been a sore point for me. And it has like there have been so many ways that it has assisted me this year. And that's not even all the things. That's just the stuff that's like business related. And so I really want you to just consider that there may be some things that it could help you to do. And what's lacking is that you just don't know how to make it work for you, which is fine if you don't know. But you can learn. You can learn. And I'm going to be I want to put together like a workshop that shows you how to make chat, like give your chat your personality or give it some personality. Um so that it can create content, it can help you, it can assist you in creating content that sounds like you. And I've been experimenting with it. I'm still not um I still want to play around with it and get some numbers and show y'all the results later. But if you're following me, and make sure if you're enjoying this, y'all make sure y'all hit the follow. And if you want to listen to all of this again, then I would encourage you to subscribe to my YT, because I'm going to leave the replay of this up over there. So you can go back and you can listen to everything that I'm sharing and take up all the tips and stuff that I'm giving y'all. So but if you're following me, if you're connected, then I will definitely let y'all know in the future, like how you can get access to that workshop. But I think the biggest benefit is that it has helped me to take my ideas and turn them into execution. And in that execution, my confidence has grown so much this year that I want as many people to experience it as possible. And let's go back a little bit into the TikTok ban, because all of this goes together. Okay, and so I'm gonna tell y'all why. So I've been seeing a lot of conversations about how to take your current following on TikTok and bring that into other spaces. And so there are some people who started this already, who have done this early, especially this year. There are a couple of creators who have found how to take what they do on TikTok and grow other platforms, right? Like a Patreon or a Telegram, Discord, things like that, right? And so one of the things that has kind of like been like resounding is how difficult it is to to convert your audience. Like, how do you convert them to wherever? Like, how do I take them from one place and put them to another place? And there have been a lot of conversations about like which platforms, like where are we going, which platforms are we going to use. That's actually a question I would love to hear from y'all. What platforms are y'all considering now that this is happening? And if you feel like you don't have anywhere to go, let me know that too. Okay, so make sure y'all drop that in the comments. um because that's a question that I get asked very often as well. Like, okay, well, where are we going next? Where's the party going? And so there have been a couple of them. There have been a lot of them that people have been saying this is where you should go, this is where you should move, right? And so I know a lot of people have been hearing folks talk about the tube. Ashane, Ashane says Psy, IG, and YT. Yeah. I'm a motivational speaker and I'm on YouTube first, new to TikTok. Okay, okay. I hope that you are taking advantage of TikTok now, and creating as much as you can. Really take my advice. If you're new here, it's not too late, okay? But what you do need to know is that, like, if you're new here, you need to hit the ground running, okay? Like, you don't have time to get caught up in, I don't know, what should I talk about? What should I do? What trend should I do? Like, if it's gonna take you an hour to find a trending sound, you probably should just talk, okay? Just talk. Don't do no trending sounds. Don't do no dances. You just use your voice, okay? You set the trends because you just don't have the time. All right. You do not have the time, friend. I guess YT, I'm not a fan of Meta. I am interested in I heard about Neptune. I heard about Neptune. Do you think wait, YT and Substack, I'm already a consumer of YT, but I need to find more people to follow on Substack. Do you think it's important to also be a consumer of a platform you actively post on? That's a great question, Kayla. And I will say yes. I think that it is important to be a consumer, but it's important to be a consumer with a purpose. Okay. And so the difference is that you're not just going on the platform just to watch what other people are doing. Okay. You're not going to the platform try to figure out what's the right thing to do, what's the wrong thing to do necessarily, but you're going into it to connect with people. Like, how, who can I, and you don't even have to go as far as collaborating right now, but who can I connect with? Who do I want to follow because I enjoy the topics that they talk about, or I might want to work with them in the future, or I feel like our audiences align. So I want to make sure that I stay around and I engage. So I would say to look at it more as an opportunity to build relationships as opposed to just being a consumer and not an active participant in it. So like the best way to compare it, over 60K and most of my content on here is shadowed, 40K on IG. Oh man. It sounds like you need to have it might, you might need to start over. I had to be a consumer on TikTok first to know it. Yeah. And so I would compare it to, like, imagine that the platforms that you're on, imagine that it is a party, right? It's a networking event. And so you as you if you're just going on there to be a consumer, right? And you go into this event, you go into this networking event and you just go around and you just stare at everybody. You just look at them, you don't say nothing, you don't acknowledge them, you just go and you just stare at them. And then you walk away and then you go to another person and just stare. That's what I would compare. That's what I would compare, like, just being a consumer without a purpose, right? Like that would be the equivalent to that. Like, and I want you to keep that in your mind because, like, when you look at it that way, that's so creepy. It's so creepy. Now, if you are a consumer, if you're consuming it with a purpose, then you would be going around and maybe you would go up and you would listen to a conversation for a little bit, but then you introduce yourself, right? Or if you hear a topic that you're interested in, you share your perspective on it. Or you ask people questions about themselves, like, oh, you know what? I heard you talking about um being a food creator, being a food creator. How did you get into that? Because that's actually something that's really interesting to me. That would be the equivalent to being a consumer with a purpose. So you absolutely do not have to always be the one talking. You don't have to always be the one that has something to say, but you do want to have something to say. Like, you do want to contribute to the society and not just take from it, not just consume, because that's the part that makes us feel stuck. That's the part that makes us feel backed up creatively. That's the part that makes us get confused after a while when we're consuming more than we're creating. And so I think that there's, like, realistically, there needs to be a balance. Um, and as I'm saying this, this is probably not what I have said in the past. And so if you heard me say something different, then I want to correct that now, because there is absolutely a time and a place and a purpose for consuming. So that's how I would approach it. That's how I would approach it. I'm definitely going on more people's lives now and talk. Yeah, get in there. You got something to say. You have things to add. And even if you don't want to give your expertise, just ask questions. Just be genuinely curious about people, and the things that they talk about. Like, that's just like a very easy way to build relationships. I decided I wanted to do food content and fashion from the point of motherhood and gaining back self after children. I did not know you had a child, Kiki. Oh, we definitely can connect on a lot. I have a son. He's 9. How old are your children or a child? I love that. I really do love that. And there are so many different ways that you can approach that too, because like we may feel guilty or discouraged from eating certain things, or the way that our bodies look, and we feel like I don't deserve to eat this, or I need to be on a diet, or I need to lose weight, or this is a yeah, you know what I'm going with this. You know where I'm going with this. I have a son and a daughter, 3 and 7. Oh wow, yay! I love meeting other mom creators. Oh, we're going to get along. We're going to get along really well. Yeah. Don't forget to DM me. So, i- thinking about what it looks like to take an existing audience and bring them to a new one is one that has come up in conversation. Is basically what I was getting at. And the challenge is that, like I said earlier, TikTok has made it incredibly easy to make content. And without TikTok, there is going to be a huge void for creators and the accessibility of being a creator. All right? Like that's just a fact, okay? It will be felt. Its absence will be felt. And so one of the things that has come up is going to be even more important, y'all, to be strategic with how you create. So and just out of curiosity, how many times have you heard somebody say you need to have a content calendar, or you need to be looking at your analytics, or you need to have a schedule, you need to be strategic, you need to be thinking about your content, you need to be intentional about your content? Like, how many times have you heard something like that and you were like, "Yeah, you're so right." And then you don't do it. I'll raise my hand first. It's okay. I'll raise my hand first. There is a reason why people said that, y'all. There is a reason why, okay? And there's a certain amount of strategy and intentionality that goes into creating content. Your favorite creators are not where they are by accident. Okay, they're not like there is it's as much as we talk about people who, like, blew up overnight and who like were overnight successes. As much as we talk about those people, that's far less common than the people who they really know what they're doing. Like they're really intentionally building, and they're not where they are by accident. Okay. And whether they figured it out before they got started or whether they figured it out on the way, there is a certain intentionality and rhythm to what they do. Right. Now, the great thing about that is that it is not impossible for you to create that for yourself. Okay. Let me make sure I repeat that. It is not impossible for you to create a system and a strategy that works for you. All right. And the thing that I want you to be encouraged by is that if you had the ability to create an engaged audience, regardless of the size, if you have been able to create an engaged audience, if you have been able to create with a certain amount of consistency, you have what it takes to keep going. But what I'm telling you is that what got you to this place is not going to be enough to keep you going. So, this is where a lot of people are going to be at a crossroads, right? Do I want to keep growing? Do I want to keep pursuing this creator journey? Do I want to see where this goes? Or without TikTok, have I found that I don't really want to do this? Like, I don't really want to put in the work. I don't really want to be strategic. I don't really want to create any strategy. I don't want to create any additional streams of revenue for myself. Like, I don't want to do that. And I really want you to hear my objectivity on this topic, because I'm not telling you that one's good and one's bad. What I'm telling you is that certain things are going to have to happen in order for that the creator route to be a possibility. And so that's another reason why I'm telling y'all. It's my pleasure, Nala. That's the reason why I'm telling y'all that use this time to create, and then take the information that you are getting and refine your message, refine your brand, refine your content strategy. I need you to be intentional about reflecting. I want you to look at those numbers. And as you're looking at your analytics, as you're looking at your numbers, I want you to think about the questions that you have, right? Think about what doesn't make sense. Like, I know watch time is a thing, but what does that mean? Like, what am I looking at? What do these numbers mean? There is nothing wrong with not understanding analytics. There are people who their entire job is analyzing data. Okay. So if it doesn't make sense to you, you're fine. It's okay not to know. It's okay not to understand. If anything, this is now the time for you to ask them questions that it might be embarrassing that you don't know it, but I need you to move past it because you need to know the information. I need to understand this so that I can be strategic and create something moving forward. Yeah, I love looking at I feel like I get so much information from data, but there is a part of me that also has to acknowledge that for one, I've been doing this for a few years. Okay. So I've been doing this for about 5 years, maybe 6 years, since 2017. And I also like literally took courses on social media. Cause I was that person. I felt like if I wanted to be, because at the time I wanted to be a social media manager. And so I was like, if I want to be a social media manager, I need to know the ins and out of social media. And so I literally took a course to learn social media. And I think I took multiple courses at the time. Almost 8 years. Dang, 8 years. Oh wow. I am not doing math. Wow. Wow. Yeah, 2017. That's when I started. It's when I officially started. And so yeah, so the 8 almost 8 years coupled with the training and the courses and the classes that I've taken, that is why I feel more comfortable looking at the data and looking at the numbers. But if you're someone who this is not your first thing, like marketing is not your first thing, really like strategically using social media is not your thing, there's just stuff that you just don't know. Like it's just stuff that you just don't know. And it is going to be so much better for you to just ask those questions than it is to just sit on them. But I think that what another problem, going back to what I said, is that without the execution, you won't know what questions to ask. Without the execution, you won't know what is the holdup. Like, okay, is it that I'm not consistent, or am I experiencing a block when it comes to not knowing what to say because I don't have a script, right? Or I feel like I don't really want to make content because I feel like I've been making all this content for so long and it just doesn't feel like I'm reaching the right people. It feels like a waste of my time to be on live for an hour or for 2 hours and never make a sale. Like, can we be real today? Like, it feels frustrating when I feel like I am so consistent or I'm making all this content and no one's purchasing my digital product. No one is even like really paying attention to me or engaging with me. And those are some of the things that if you remove like the scapegoat of I'm just bad at content or I just don't know what I'm doing, let's specifically talk about what I don't understand so that I can fix it, because there is a solution to all of those concerns. There's a solution to all those problems. Okay, whether that's a resource or whether that's a person. And so, again, these are all things that I want y'all to think about and consider as you are migrating to these different platforms. Is that this is your time to experiment. Use TikTok to your advantage to try different things, try out as much as you want, as much as you can. and then take what you're recognizing, and use that to refine your strategy for other places, other platforms. Um, when it comes to YouTube, one thing that I know I need to implement is I need to utilize scheduling more. I'm terrible at scheduling, okay? I just want to live my life, okay? I just want to show up whenever I want to show up, and that has been the beauty of TikTok, is that it really doesn't matter, because as long as you show up, it's going to put your content out. It doesn't always put it out on the For You page, okay? Because it'd be tripping sometimes. But the way that the algorithm is, it is designed to consistently put you out to new people. That's not how YouTube is acting. That's not what YouTube is talking about. YouTube is like, no, 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 no. We need you to show up at the same time. I need you to schedule some things. I need you to figure out how to organize your people so that they know when to show up, because we're not doing that for you. Like, the most support that you're going to get is when you hit the notification bell. So if you set up to get notified when your favorite creators go live, then that is their extra effort to market on your behalf, right? Which is why the subscribing is not enough. You got to go that extra step, especially if you don't want to miss what they're talking about. Set up notifications for your favorite creators so that you don't miss out on their lives, especially if you value being able to interact with them, as opposed to just watching their content afterwards, which is nothing wrong with that. I love a good replay. But sometimes it's just not the same as being there in person and getting to, just be like, chat with them, feel that energy in the moment. So yeah, YouTube said, figure it out. They said, we are going to give you these two things, and I need you to make it enough. I need you to figure it out. Okay. Because we did our part and we gave you a platform. So I know that um scheduling is going to be an important thing for me to utilize for YouTube, right? For my growth. Especially because I am really enjoying live stream. Like, the fact that, like, this wasn't what I was always doing. Y'all, like, there's so much potential in going live, and I really like it. Like, I really enjoy it. And that feels so foreign coming from me, but I really do. Like, I really do. It's just so much easier to create. It's crisp, crisp. Yeah. I love this. I love that my video quality is like, I love the audio is so good. It's just some different things happen over here. But even things like, thumbnails, and learning how to create better thumbnails. There's actually a thread that I found that I'm gonna share, so that y'all can see, because this guy broke down how to create good thumbnails. Like, oh, I was reading it and getting so excited. I was like, "Ooh, oh, this is such good information. I love this." But learning things like that, investing more in the type of titles you should be using, and being more intentional about what your content's going to be. What am I going to talk about? Can I make it so that I can make as few decisions in the moment as possible, right? Giving yourself the space to be creative and express yourself, but also everything ain't got to be figured out in the moment, fam. Okay, like, everything can't be a last minute assignment, last minute essay. And I'm talking to myself mostly when I say this. So if you catching a stray, I apologize. Actually, I don't apologize. You catching a stray, you catch a stray. But it's really like, this moment is for me. But like this, and like, taking it a step further and learning, okay, if TikTok showed me that I can do this, what does it now look like to take this even further and act like I know how to do this? What steps do I need to take now to make this more sustainable? What do I need to do now to make this something that is more passive? How can I make this more um how can I make this so that it's not only benefiting me, but then I can hire people? You know what I'm saying? Like, think about, don't let TikTok and your excess and what you've been able to accomplish with TikTok be where your story ends. Okay? Like, take this as a sign that, okay, let me find the good in this. Let me find the strategy in this. Let me find what I need to take from this. Okay, people like it when I hit a little jig, and I show my personality a little bit more. Or people are actually rocking with my perspective on things. They just want to hear my voice. Like, that's something that I can lean into more. For me, as much as I was trying to fight it, I know y'all love seeing the fashion stuff. So what does that look like? How can I incorporate more of that and be bolder with that? So, like, taking what it is that you're recognizing is working, and then giving it the proper foundation and structure that it needs to be sustainable. Like, this is where you prove to yourself, I actually believe in me. I actually believe that I can do this. I actually believe I can be successful in it. And instead of saying, and I can't do it and counting myself out, I'm going to figure out the skills that I need to learn to continue doing what I love to do. And that again is where that fork in the road comes in. Am I going to continue to be a creator and figure out what it really looks like outside of TikTok? Or have I decided that I've had enough? It was fun while it lasted. I'm about to go about my business and, do something else. Jiggy with Jada. Like, I don't need to copy and paste the title on the thumbnail. Yeah, no, yeah, facts. I think there needs to be like a whole like thumbnail masterclass, because I think that'd be a really valuable thing to learn. I was definitely the student who was up late doing assignments and then doing really well. Okay, I'm gonna be a good egg. Yeah, I was too. I was too, y'all. Like, I was like real life the person that was writing like multiple page essays the night before. What was I on? What was I on? Why was chaos the only thing that I could thrive in? It was so chaotic, so stressful, and I don't know, like, clearly I needed to love myself a little bit more. Like, it just was it's not working. It's not working for me. And you wanna know one last thing, y'all? One last thing is that, like, think about the impact that continued stress will have on you. Like, how will it impact your life, your relationships, your health? I had a moment last night. I was watching a show. And the man on the show, he was like 38, and he was dealing with high blood pressure. And so the doctor told him, he was like, he was like, he's like, so do you walk? And I forgot what he said. I think he was like, to the fridge, like, does that count or something like that? Or he like kind of like laughed it off. And the guy was like, no, like, real life, like, it's a matter of life and death if you don't walk. Like, you need to move, because you are 38, but your body is saying otherwise. Like, your body is like, your body's not giving your age. And so when he said that, I thought about how all like so many things can be attributed to stress, right? Um and I was watching something else. Shout out to TikTok. I was watching something else on your thyroid. And so, you can have hypo or hyperthyroid. And so some of the symptoms of a hyperthyroid, I was reading them and I was like, that's feeling like me. Now, I'm not diagnosing myself, but it just was interesting how, like, being young isn't is it don't mean as much as I don't even know if it ever really meant a lot. I feel like life expectancy has never really been the highest, but anyway, it doesn't mean as much, like, it doesn't it's not cutting it. And so I was thinking about just things that I had kind of like fixed myself to believe about me, and the way that I do things that I felt like were just me, right? Like I gotta always be the person that's last minute. I gotta always be the person that's just kind of like, doing stuff willy-nilly. And that's not giving myself enough credit because it's not that I'm all over the place. But I don't um I don't always like document what works. Like I'm a strategic person, but I'm also not the most organized person. Or maybe it's vice no, I think that's the best way to describe it. And so there are some things that like I had just like convinced myself that I don't that's not me. Like I'm not the person that has this outline schedule, or I'm not the person who schedules live streams or events. I just show up. I just do them. And then I thought, why do I feel like why does that feel like what I have to do? Like why does it feel like I'm so incapable of having a plan? Why does it feel like I can't be creative and be intentional? Why can't I be organized and be creative? Like why do those have to be different things? Why can't they be the same thing? And then there's one thing that kind of like put things into perspective for me. Hey Bookie, that put things into perspective for me when I was thinking about something like a movie, right? Like all of the all of the work and all the planning, all the preparation that goes into not only like conceptualizing a movie, but actually executing it and then marketing it, that requires an extensive amount of planning. They don't just wake up and decide to make a movie. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I have seen some amazing movies. I've seen some amazing TV shows. We'll look at it later. We'll look at it later. Go ahead, take it over there. I've seen some amazing stuff that I know took planning to execute it. So, like, where did I get this idea that I can't be organized, I can't plan and still be creative? Where did it come from? I don't even know. I don't even know. Yeah, I'm looking for someone to review my movie actually. Oh, well, congratulations on it getting picked up. What's the name of the movie? Somebody who lied. Yeah, who started the lie? Like who started the lie that in order to be creative, you got to be chaotic? And you want to know what's so funny about the creator, the brand personality, is that the creator values control. Like we're our part of our mission and what we do, lyrical protege, okay, part of like what we do as creatives is we make sense of things. Like we make sense of the world, we make sense of different emotions that may be hard to confront. We make sense of difficult situations. We give life and space for people to process what's going on. And that's one of the reasons why art is so important, because it is a different perspective. And so y'all please like roll with me on this for a second, because I wasn't expecting to go here, but I feel like I need to touch on it just a little bit. Okay. So I was it's crazy. How did I end up here? I was just talking with my team about this yesterday. Really? I think it's something in the atmosphere. Like I think this is what we need to like really sit with in this moment. But I was thinking about I was watching this show called Brilliant Minds. And if you've never seen Brilliant Minds, I watch it on Peacock. Brilliant Minds is a fire show, y'all. Oh, it is so good. It is such a good show. And so there was this episode where the man, so the premise of the show, quickly, the premise of the show is that there's this doctor who's he's a psychiatrist, and he's really skilled, he's really gifted at helping his clients because he like dives into their lives, right? Like he's really invested in them and what they're doing, and understanding from their perspective what's going on to help solve these very complex mental challenges that they have, right? And so he on this episode there was this artist that was on there. He's a painter, and he had a car accident, and the car accident caused him to lose his ability to see color. So he could no longer see color after this car accident. And so the reason why it was so it was such a mystery is because in the car accident, there was no trauma to his brain. There was nothing going on with his brain. Everything was fine. But yet and still, the cause of him losing his ability to see color came from the car accident. And so as they're like learning more about the condition, learning about the car accident and what happened, what the circumstances were, they learned that his wife was in the car when he had the accident, and he lost his wife. And it also had taken them it had taken them hours to find him and take him out of. Okay, Kyrie, we'll look at it in a second. Okay, good job. All right, it had taken them hours to rescue him, and so he had inhaled a lot of carbon monoxide. And so it was like to the point where like basically if he had been in there even a few more minutes, that would have been it, right? And so he's the reason why they were helping him and they knew about him is because the his art dealer, she was worried because he had a really big exhibition coming up, and he was not willing to paint anything. He was like, what's the point in painting if I can't see color? Like, what's the point in trying to express my perspective when I can't even identify the right colors to use to paint? And so I remember at the beginning of the episode, I didn't know how it was going to happen, but the first thing that I thought was, why doesn't he just paint in black and white? Like, why doesn't he just paint in black and white? Like, why doesn't he take the pain that he's feeling and this new shift in perspective and paint that perspective and allow us to see what that looks like, right? Like that was like the first thing that I thought. I was like, why doesn't he do that? And so obviously it's not as easy as just being like, well, okay, this is what you should do. He had to go through a process of healing and acknowledging the loss of his wife. He needed to understand what it looked like now to create his art. And at the end of the episode, one thing that I thought was cool, y'all. Sorry, this is just like this not really related, but it kind of is. One thing that was cool about the episode is that his wife's name was Amber. Also Amber, she was a black woman, and so like her skin like literally looked like amber to me. And I love that her name was also I could visualize like the color. So it was a really cool episode. Like if you're somebody who likes to like analyze shows and like dig deeper, you're going to love it, okay? Like I promise you. There's just so many different aspects of it to appreciate. And so so at the end of the episode, they realized that because he had lost his sense of color, it's called Brilliant Minds on Peacock. um because he had lost his ability to see color, he was now able to like see, like, how do I phrase it? Like he was able to see things from like a further distance. Like it was like his senses were heightened without being able to see color. So like he could see things from super far away. even though they were still in black and white, he could see things super far away. And there was like his use of light and shadows was now how he expressed his artwork. And so it was more than just black and white and gray, but it was his ability to be able to like play off of the light and the shadows, and like what do people look like in black and white, like what can I emphasize in them. And it was just so dope to watch it. And so all of that from that episode, it taught me it. I mean, I got so many things from that episode, but one of the biggest things was how art allows us to communicate a perspective, and how it allows us to express things that we may not be able to express with words. Or I think even better than that, it's not even about being able to express it with words, but I feel like it allows us to feel. Like it gives us the ability to to feel those emotions that we oftentimes suppress and avoid, and try to skirt around it a little bit, maneuver around it. And artwork art allows us to confront it in a way that is safe, like, or like disarming. That's a better word for it. It allows us to experience in a way that's disarming. And so I gleaned so much from that, and even just like this whole conversation of the role that art plays. This whole idea of what does it look like to be vulnerable? What does it look like to not be a finished product before we feel worthy of sharing our perspective, or before we feel worthy of going for certain things or doing certain things? Like some of my favorite painters started in adulthood. They weren't like child prodigies that were just painting all throughout their life. They decided that where I'm at right now is good enough for me to start my career. And they have just grown leaps and bounds after that, but they didn't allow the idea of it being perfect to stop them. They had a perspective, they understood what it was that they wanted to convey, and they allowed themselves to be vulnerable in that expression and put their feelings on the canvas. Put their feelings in the content, put their feelings in the clothes. Whatever your medium is, that's what that art is. That's what that means. And how important it is to have those perspectives. I really want people to recognize that that's what makes you an artist. That's what makes you a creator. Thank you, Ashlyn. Oh, hey, Felicia. I'm getting used to your new handle. That's what makes you a creator, your ability to take these vulnerable moments and turn it into something meaningful, to turn it into something purposeful, and you choosing to hold on to that until you feel like it's perfect, and until you feel like it's presentable or acceptable, is the antithesis of art. It's the antithesis of creative expression. And I say this without saying that I you need to share all of your business, right? Like I'm not saying that you just need to bear it all out there and let your just, open your soul up to everybody. But what I am saying is that there is so much room and grace and space for you to be in the process, and to show us where you are now and who you are now, while also allowing us to go on the journey of your evolution with you. Like what does it look like for me to say, hey, this is what I know right now. This is what I have figured out. This is what I can help you with. And then also, this is stuff that I'm working on. I don't have this part figured out just yet. Like this is under construction, but that doesn't take away from what I can do right now. It doesn't take away from my authority. It doesn't take away from my creativity. It doesn't take away from my perspective. It doesn't take away from my impact. Like I can thrive right where I am and know that there is so much more available to me. There's so much more that I can do. And I hope that especially in the upcoming this upcoming year that the artists, the creatives are reminded of how important you are. Like you are a necessity. You're not a luxury. You're not something that people just should experience from time to time. You're not something that is only reserved for the people who have a whole bunch of money to spend on your pieces or your artwork. Like there's definitely a place for that, but that you're more than that. You are we need you consistently present, how you are, imperfections and all, because what you bring to the world is an ability to experience our emotions, to confront difficult things, and to heal. You allow us to heal. And that's something that I really never want you to take for granted, regardless of what it looks like, regardless of how you do that, regardless of what that experience or that work or that service looks like. It is important. It has an impact. Um, yes. Yes, Kayla. So that's where my head has been at. This does remind me, y'all, there is a blog post that I wrote a few days ago. I've actually written two that I would love for y'all to go and check out. I will link them so that you can go to them straight from TikTok. I gotta link them. I should do it now, but it won't be a straightforward process. So I'll make another video about it, I promise. And then I'll remind y'all of these blog posts. But I really would love for you to check them out. Not even to support me, even though that's dope, but because I feel like it is the encouragement that we need. Okay. So the blog is called Creator Confessions, and is based off of the series that I have been doing on YouTube, where I had the segment rather that I was doing on YouTube when my lives where I was doing my creator confessions. And so I'm like moving the party on over to Substack, and just kind of like, letting it out, like letting it out, not all of it, but a good chunk of it. Whatever comes to my mind that I feel like I want to talk about, I've kind of been laying it out there. And so the post that I want you to thank you, Kayla. The post that I want y'all to read, the first one is called Grounding the Clouds, which is how can you dream without being disappointed by reality? And that one came from this question that I had. And it was so funny because when I posted it on Threads, like no one really like responded to it except for one person. And he was like, "This makes my brain hurt." And I was like, "Nah, I get it. I get it." It actually made my brain hurt too when I thought of the question. But it was one of the things was like I gotta answer this question because it's like nagging at me. I gotta answer this question. And so that first blog post is about dreaming. How do I dream and not be disappointed by reality, and how I navigate that? Oh, I never read it, Kuma. I have to check that out. It might be. It might be. And then the second one is I can't think of the name of it right now. But it is about, I think it's something along the lines of, did I give up on my dreams too soon? Um or did I give up on my business too soon? And that is a very candid conversation about some things that I've been thinking as it pertains to my fashion business. Because back 2017 to the beginning of 2020, I was running a fashion business, and I was selling my designs, and I was also reselling thrifted clothes. And I ultimately had to shut that business down because I was extremely burnt out. Like I was burnt out. I didn't want to like look at my sewing machine. I resented all of it, and I just needed a clean break. Like I just needed like a whole break from fashion. And so I here recently I've been seeing people who have been running very successful fashion brands, and they're using some of the things like marketing wise, content wise, that I was doing when I was creating like the clothes for my first fashion show. And I felt like right before I gave up on my business, um, maybe, maybe Nala. I'm gonna explain why though. Actually, the blog post explains like where I landed on it, because there are still some concerns that I have, but I'm gonna tell y'all like I'm gonna tell y'all what where I'm at with it currently. So I've been yes, definitely read it and let me know what you think, because I I gave up on it right before. I feel like I gave up on it right before I figured out what I wanted to do. Like I feel like I gave up right before my breakthrough. That's how I described it. And I was starting to second guess myself and doubt it. And this is what, 4 years later that I'm like really like coming to terms with this and thinking about it. And so I had a few questions that, I'm not expecting anybody to answer, but just the questions that come to my mind, because I feel like it was important to acknowledge it. But also there's a also like a caution that I feel about it, especially with how burnt out I felt from it, and not being certain that I want to go back to it, at least not in the same way. And it makes me think about how like like I think about it almost like an ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, or husband or wife, whatever. And how you can remember some of the relationships, some of them you don't remember anything good. But like let's just say for the sake of this argument, that you can think of the good times, right? Like you can think of all the good things, all the things that you loved about them, all the things that you felt like, man, why did we break up again? Like, why didn't it work out? And then you start feeling a little like, well, hold up. Was that the right decision? But then you remind yourself of all the reasons why y'all broke up. And you think about where you are currently in your life. And you're like, hmm, maybe not. Like I could think about the good, but that doesn't necessarily mean I want them back. I feel like I stand by my decision. I feel like I made the right decision. Like, and I think that I feel like that's just a fair way to look at it. You know what I'm saying? You're not always. It doesn't always. It's not always like I'm 100% in on this decision, but I made a decision. I made the decision that I felt was best for me at the time, and I just have to be okay with that. And now that it's coming back up, what does that mean? Does it mean, is it a sign that I should start it again? Is it a sign that I need to reconcile how I feel about this experience? Is it a sign because maybe I see myself elevating again, or maybe I see myself kind of going down that same path, and so this is a moment for me to be like, hold up, let's check in, let's see how you're doing, because some of the same feelings that you felt 4 years ago are starting to resurface. What is that about? Where is that coming from? Like it could be a sign for so many things, right? It could be a sign that maybe I still don't need to pursue it this way, but maybe I need to bring in more of the fashion or more of my creations, or maybe it's time for me to explore what it looks like now to have more of that in what I do. Like it really is like I don't have that answer just yet. And I'm okay with that. Mostly because I still have so much anxiety about the idea of doing what I used to do. Like it makes me, ooh, if y'all could feel my heart thinking about it, it makes me so nervous. It's just like burnout is just one of the things you just never, you be doing whatever you can to never go back. And so I think that that's like that's that's a part of what needs to be, reconciled and explored. But what I am proud of with that post is the fact that I'm willing to navigate it. Like I'm not just avoiding the question or brushing off the feelings that I have, but I'm like, okay, these are here. Let's talk about it. What does this mean? Let's get this out there. And my purpose for sharing it as a blog and making it public is that I know that there are other people who can relate to that. I know there are people that can relate to starting something that they were passionate about and it didn't work out. And now you're over here seeing other people doing what you was doing and it looks like they're so successful at doing it, and now you over here looking at yourself like, well, why you couldn't get it together? Like what you was doing wrong? Like what, how you messed that up? And they doing what you did. Like there's valid questions and concerns that you have. Or how do I navigate what I want to do now with these feelings of failure? How do I bring this stuff back into the mix? How do I talk about my past without feeling ashamed of it or feeling uncomfortable about talking about it or feeling like it discredits me in some way? How do I talk about this? How do I discuss this in a way that is empowering? It's encouraging. It doesn't put me down and make me feel like oh, this is just another example of me not being good enough or me not being able to do it. Like I don't think that people acknowledge how hard it can be, especially as an entrepreneur, especially as a creative entrepreneur, how hard it can be to bounce back from things that didn't work. And one of the things that I'm learning that builds that resilience is our ability to acknowledge how we're feeling in the moment and being able to process it, being able to truly heal those areas so that we can actually have that bounce back. We can have that, okay, I can keep going. I can keep moving. I can handle this challenge. I can handle this dry spell. I can handle this slow moment, or this slow season. Um which actually I'm starting to shift my language from saying that, but I can handle the pivots that need to happen without it becoming a personal attack on me and my value and my worth and my abilities, so that's all what I'm accomplishing, um I believe, with this conversation. And so those two posts are up on my Substack. If you do have Substack, my handle on there is the same as it is on TikTok. It's Jada West at it's Jada West. So you can go and find it if you want to look at it now because I haven't put the link up yet. I'll put it over here in YouTube as well, so y'all can go back and read them if you haven't. And subscribe to the newsletter. Let's see. How is lemon 8? Oh yeah. Y'all, okay. Lemonade. I I I'm not feeling it, y'all. I'm not feeling it. And this is like I went to Lemonade a few months ago, before everything had went through with Congress and before the law was passed. So it's like Pinterest, but it also feels like way more cluttered. Um it feels busy. Like that's the best way to describe it. It feels busy. And it's something about the fact that I have created no content over there and I already have like about 500 subscribers, or followers rather. And I'm just like, why are y'all following me? Like, and it's like, are you finding me from TikTok, or like, are you just like following me just because? Are these real followers? Like, I'm so skeptical. I went over there and it was like, you have all these notifications. And I was like, who are you? Who are these people? I'm not saying I should have to toil for my followers, but that is weird to me. That's weird to me. And I'm also not certain how long it will last with the TikTok ban. Like, it almost felt counterintuitive to me because I was like, ain't y'all just gonna do the same thing y'all did with TikTok? It is. No, it's quite literally connected. It's quite literally connected. So Lemonade and TikTok, they cousins. So and you can't merge your content over. Um but your followers, your TikTok followers can find you on Lemonade. So that can contribute. So if you get over there and you're like, a little taken aback by the fact that you already have followers, it might be because they found you through TikTok, because you can connect it. And then people, you can there's like a connection that they have on your profile when you do set up Lemonade. So on TikTok, you'll see it on your profile. It'll be like, follow them on Lemonade, or they're this creators on Lemonade, or something like that. So you can go over there and you can follow them that way. And then when you get on there and register, it will put up people that you are already friends with on TikTok as well, so that you can follow those same people again over there. So they are definitely integrated, but I am not sold on its longevity. And it is not, I do not enjoy navigating it. Oh, one thing I do want to tell y'all though, if y'all don't know this already, as of I think as of yesterday, you can now download your posted content from TikTok without a watermark. Okay. And this is not for drafts, but if you go to your content that's already posted and you go to download, you know how it usually has the watermark, the little blinking TikTok logo. You can now download your videos without the watermark. So y'all go, like, after this, go try it out on your content and see if when you download it, if it doesn't have a watermark, because that can also be something that you begin to utilize for your transfer. Um I think that what they're probably hoping is that you will take that content to Lemonade. It's surprising to me that they didn't make it so that it automatically integrates. There is an there is one app that is allowing you to integrate your content though. Like, it's migrating it over from TikTok, and I want to say that it's Fanbase. I think Fanbase is doing that. They got some other stuff that's happening with Fanbase too, that they're trying to, like, make it more robust and things like that. I have not used Fanbase in literal years, so I cannot tell you what my thoughts are on it right now. I do know that when I stopped using it, I think that I found that there wasn't a lot of engagement on it. It was one of those platforms where the numbers are easy to get in terms of followers, but that has never felt um it's never felt like quality to me without me being able to understand where the followers are coming from. So, like, if I had a viral video and now I have this huge surge of followers, I know that I can attribute these followers to this content. But if you're just following me and I don't have a lot of content on there, or I don't have any content on there, and you just following me just like off rip, that is not giving me any information. other than you found me and you follow me. And so that's like, I guess that's another reason why they call it vanity metrics, because it looks good, but what does it really tell you? Nothing. It means nothing. Okay. At this point, I everything, any platform that I've had to build it brick by brick. And I'm just gonna have to be okay with that until, I hit the moments where I get like a big spike. Like up until then, we just gonna build this thing brick by brick, because I cannot feel comfortable with the, sorry, over here on TikTok. I just can't feel comfortable with the instantaneous boom, you're here, let me follow you. I don't like that. And then also, like, when they start doing like the follow for follow stuff, count me out, coach. Count me out. Okay. I'm gonna sit on the bench for that one, because I cannot stand the follow for follow stuff. Like, if I follow you, I want to see your content. Just because you like my content does not mean that the feeling is mutual. I don't like that. I just this that's not it is not a sustainable way to grow. Oh, wait, what doesn't work? Yeah, so those are my thoughts. Y'all, with any of them though, like, honestly, truly, 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 with any of them, you're starting over. Like, there's just no way around it. And there's going to be a certain level of experimenting that a lot of us are just going to have to do. Like, you got to decide the things that I say that you should learn, the things that you should understand, and then make your decision from there. Okay. Instead of focusing on which platform is going to be the most like TikTok, instead of focusing on that, I want you to look at the platforms objectively and what purpose each of them serves, what type of users are on those platforms, and how does that pertain to your goals. Okay, that's what I will say. That's what I would suggest for any platform, and that's going to make your that's going to make your journey so much simpler than figuring out how do we replace TikTok. I think that that's the wrong conversation for you to be having unless you are someone who develops apps. Okay. If you are someone who feels like you can create the next TikTok, then by all means, now is your time to shine. But if that's not your goal, that's not your job, I want you to think about what each platform does, the purpose that it serves, and how it aligns with your goals. Thank you, Latara. And that's how we move from there. Oh yeah, the follow for follow. Yeah, no. It don't. I mean, and even if you take the shortcut, like, is it really getting you what you want? Like, if what you want is just followers, buy them. Next. Like, do you really want the numbers, or do you want something else? Like, do you want something more concrete? But that's what I would say. That's what I would say is going to be the most important. And so what I was challenge you to do with your social media managers, the social media experts that you follow, your own research, is to look and find out how each platform operates, what purpose they serve, what type of audience is on those platforms, and then you make your decision from there based off of your goals. And if you don't know what your goals are for your business, for your content, for your community, then you got a little bit more, you know, backtracking to do and figure that out. Even if it's a very general idea right now, at least have some clarity on where you're going, and then allow that to inform your decisions on which platform you now take your business to. Okay. And move that way. Because what one thing that I will say is that for the most part, the options that we have are pretty established, in their functions and what they can do. And so you already have a lot of information to go off of to make that decision. Um, but what's going to work for you is going to depend on those factors. Some people should move to platforms that allow them to live stream. Some people might need to lean more into the written stuff. Some people may need to focus more on long form video. Some people, maybe your goal right now is to try out different apps so that you can connect with new people. Like that's one thing, that's one appeal that I can definitely say is there when it comes to trying out the newer apps, is that you're much more likely to connect with other, like, not the first responders, early adopters. That's the word, that's the phrase. So if you want to get connected to some new people, if you feel like you've kind of been stuck in a certain algorithm and you want to branch out and get some new perspectives or just see who you can find, then that would be the draw for any new platform. Honestly, like that's the appeal, and being one of the first people to get over there is that your chances of meeting some good people is higher, because the more people get over there, the harder it is for you to be seen. So if that's a goal for you, then I would say pick one and then start getting over there and making content. What are some good audio only radio style platforms where you can go live or post audio only? Hmm. There are not I don't think that there's any options for audio only anymore. Even even LinkedIn, they're taking away their audio events. So they're not even doing audio. They're focusing on video now. And so finding one that is solely audio, you're not gonna find them solely audio. I think the one option that I will say that might be a good one to pursue, I don't know. I think Clubhouse is still around, but I don't know if it's worth anybody's time. And I'm not saying that to be shady. I'm just saying that to be like for real. The fact that you don't even know if it's around, I don't know how helpful that will be for you and your goals. I think that it will definitely give you um it'll give you, I guess, like the ability to just do the audio and to create in that way. But in terms of actually like making those connections and attracting your ideal audience, I don't know. I don't I don't believe that that's a wise use of your time. Um I will say that if you are going like the podcast route, I would consider Spotify, or I would consider YouTube. And here's the thing, even though both platforms, even though Spotify for creators, not, it is, they really started out as like Spotify for podcasters, and they were leaning more into the podcasting. I think that they're now really trying to get people to make more video content over there. And so like, it's even that one's not just like, purely audio. But you can circumvent having to be on camera by doing different things. Like you can get creative with how you create um the audio, but outside of that, there is no just like audio only. And if I can add, I wouldn't go the audio only route. Uh, I wouldn't go that route for brand awareness. So if your goal is to, thank you, Mask. If your goal is to get yourself in front of some new faces, if this is like your like the top of your funnel in terms of people knowing you and you reaching like the broadest audience possible, audio only is a very tough sell, if you're not a very strong marketer. I'm trying to think of like a better way to say that. Yeah, it's like I think about poor minds. Do they have how do they advertise theirs? How do they advertise their podcast? Yeah. If you can I would consider what your concerns are around being on video. It's a really powerful addition to being a speaker. And I be trying my best not to limit people. I be trying my best not to limit people's ideas, but yeah, if you can challenge yourself to be on camera, then I wouldn't go the audio only route. It is very challenging to market, akin to Club Shay Shay. Is it audio only or do they have video? As I'm trying to think of um the podcast that this will be an interesting case study. I won't tell you not to do it and I won't tell you that it's impossible. I do think that this is going to be a challenge though. Like I don't even know how to say it. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge. But there are two podcasts that I can think of off rip that are audio only. And I don't know if they have like I think at this point they do have like video options behind a paywall. So they may not be audio only, but they do certain things to market the podcast even without showing like the video clips. So yeah, so it's just not the easiest thing to market. It's not the easiest thing to market, especially with so many platforms really pushing video. And even when you think about like just having audio, um there has to be some visual element to it to market it. So I know you remember when they was doing like those audiograms. Y'all remember those? Like that was like the first big thing they did for podcasts. And you saw like the little like wavelengths as they were speaking. And they had the little profile picture. And sometimes they had the captions. And like that was a thing to do. Those are not in anymore. Like people do they're not for it. Like they're not here for it. No one's watching audiograms anymore. So you do have to think about like what is the visual element going to be for me to market this, because you will need one in order to market it. There are a million people that have podcasts, 75% of them don't have video. What makes you different? Yeah, a lot of them don't. I mean, a lot of them also don't make it past 10 episodes. I think that was the statistic. Most of them don't make it past 10 episodes. And so there's a lot of hmm. Here's my last thing that I'll say. Without already having a existing audience, it is um it's just much more challenging to market a podcast, y'all. Like podcast is long game, long game. And there's nothing wrong. You absolutely should invest in the things that will stand the test of time. However, there needs to be a mix in your strategy where you are supporting the long form with the things that have more of a quick return. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they're challenging, and that's the biggest thing. Is that they're challenging to market. They are so challenging to market. Thank you, Ron. There's actually a friend of mine. His name is Lloyd, and I was a guest on his podcast a few times. And thank you, Ron. And he was doing his podcast for a few years, and he this year was the first year that he didn't put out any episodes for his podcast, and he started leaning more into video. And so now he used to be Lloyd, the podcast guy, and now he's Lloyd, the UGC guy. Y'all look him up when you can. He's a dope creator. And I actually wanted to I thought about him earlier today, and I was like, I would love to interview him and ask him about his experience as a podcaster and what made him pivot, because he pivoted from podcasting. He's still, honestly, I don't even know. I don't think there's a I think that was it. I'm trying to think if he's like did a new project or started a new podcast. I don't think so. So all that to say that it can be, even the best podcasts can still have challenges when it comes to marketing. So um use what platforms you have to your advantage so that you can get the visibility that you need. Work with them. Don't make it harder for yourself. So places like YouTube, Spotify for creators. I'm playing around with how I'm playing around with that, and I'm seeing how I feel about it. Especially if seeing if they support in marketing the podcast. And then Substack, which is what I said before. Substack, you can actually have your podcast linked to your Substack. So when you upload episodes, it will also put them on Substack and it will market them for you. Podcasting is an excellent source for visibility, but I truly believe you need a ready audience. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Like it doesn't have the same effect if you're trying to get that recognition and get the podcast going. Like it usually works better in the reverse. Like that's why you can have people like B Simone, when she announced her new podcast. I can't think of what her new podcast is called now, but B Simone already had an existing audience. And so she already had people who were ready to listen to her podcast because she'd already created a brand. Or if you think about even like Club Shay Shay, and that's not to take away from all of the like marketing and the work that his team does to make the show what it is. However, him already being a celebrity worked in his favor for the podcast. He already had an audience of people who wanted to listen to him talk. Or who else? More recently, if y'all follow Mecca Velli, and I can't think of the name of the host of her co-host, but they're popular over here on TikTok. And they're most recently they were in the drama with Jackie Ina. But previously, before all of that popped off, they announced they had a podcast. But Mecca and her co-host, they already had built an audience of people who love to listen to their takes on things. You get where I'm going with this? So even they started with video. Like most people start with the video, or at least having an existing presence in a community so that you can take that community, hey friend, and then you can cultivate those relationships and really nurture them with the podcast. Yeah, podcasting is not best for gathering a new audience. Years ago, yes, but of its growth, no. Yeah, it's like just take it from me. I know it don't look like it because it seemed like everybody and their mama got a podcast. But think about how often you actually see new podcasts versus how many podcasts actually exist. Yeah, you see where I'm going with that. So yeah, I would highly encourage you to utilize the methods that already have some way to assist you in getting your content out, some type of algorithm to get your content out to people, and then taking those people from social media. and bringing them to a community space. That's what all this is about. And so, yeah, the low barrier of entry. And I think that is, honestly, I think that the rise in podcasts really came from TikTok. I honestly feel like it came from TikTok, y'all, because like think about how many podcast clips we see, how many shows that we see, how many lives on TikTok are based off of podcast topics and things that happen on podcasts. So I feel like it made it really accessible. Yeah, it gave people the confidence to talk about things, and, some of that, was to our detriment because some people really should not have podcasts. Oh my gosh. Some people really don't need podcasts. Like, you really didn't need to share your thoughts and opinions on most of this stuff. If not all of it. Like, this is stuff that you really shouldn't you should be ashamed of this. It should bother you to talk about this. Uh-uh. I was saying a few weeks ago, I was like, Audacity has been on sale all year. I feel like people have been buying Audacity in bulk from Costco. And I really hope that there is a shortage because it's just way too much Audacity going around. Like way too much. I just I am appalled every day at how people just wake up with so much entitlement. And no responsibility, no accountability, just entitlement. just just audacity. I don't think they sold out of it, y'all. I think if you go to BJ's or Costco right now, you're gonna see Audacity on one of them giant pallets, and you're gonna see somebody pulling up with a U-Haul to get some more to re-up on some Audacity. I bet you they got Audacity in their garage right now, stockpiled on the shelf. They got more Audacity than they got toilet paper, and that's a problem for me. That's a problem. it's, it's so much of it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I really I think that's where people be coming from when they're like, yeah, I'm ready for TikTok to go because it just gave way too many people Audacity. And I honestly, like, I get it, but like with everything, there's good and there's bad. And as much as you dislike or are frustrated or annoyed by the people who take advantage of it, um, there are so many people that it's helped. And so it really is a shame that this is where we are. You know, I started podcasting in 2005 when there were hardly any and it was popular, but now it's different. Yeah. And I think that there was still like a certain level of like accessibility that just wasn't there. Like so many things are so much more affordable. They have like low cost options for so much equipment now, and it's not as hard to get going and get it set up. She explains why we would still miss it. Yeah. It made people think they were more than they really were. Yeah, like that whole all of the creating for um validation, and I've been guilty of it too. Like it's not like I'm just exempt from misusing it or using it to fill some kind of void or um posting things without the best intentions or just with like with some trash intentions, um posting things from a hurt place. Like I'm not exempt from that. And I know how addicting it can be when you do get it. When you do get that validation, when you do get people talking to you and calling you all these amazing things and wanting to follow you and hanging on to your every word and asking for part 2, part 3, like, "Oh yeah, cuz I remembered you did so and so." Like there was one time people somebody had called me TikTok royalty. I was like, I don't think I have ever heard myself described that way in my life, and it absolutely went to my head. I was not humble about it. Like, outwardly, I might have appeared to be humble, but in my mind, I was like, "Royalty? Hold on. Let me make y'all gotta talk to me nice now, because I am TikTok royalty, okay?" I don't know what you thought. It absolutely went to my head. I'm like, "How are you?" I am so regular. The thought of anyone seeing me that way is still just like it is mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. So, like, just imagine, building a platform where you're hearing that constantly from people. You're hearing that, you're getting that kind of validation and hearing those types of things from people. I understand why I go to people's head. I understand. I get it. I get it. You be arguing with people when they do that? When they call you royalty? So all I'd say, like, I can understand it. I can understand it from both perspectives. Yeah. I did not correct them. Actually, I don't know who said it, so I couldn't correct them. But in the moment, I don't think I would have been like, nah, don't call me that. I honestly I wouldn't. I wouldn't have said that. I'm so glad that it's helping you, Nala. That's my goal. Just keep it real with y'all, and talk about like what does it look like to keep going. If mass was there, it needed to be said. First of all, I am royalty. Okay. Royalty. Um, but no, for real, y'all. If they would have said that to my face, I would not have told them, I would not have corrected them. You're right. I am. I wouldn't say it like that. I would be like, "What? Me? Blush, blush, blush? Like you really just out here just I mean, I'll take it." I had to figure out how to be fake humble about it. It's like, I mean, if you want to call me royalty, I can see that. Yeah, I am. I am Nala. I am royalty. You just threw a platform in front of it, but like with or without TikTok, I am royalty anyway. So all you did was tell the truth. I do. I do receive it. I do receive it. That's my crown. It's this dancer. I can't think of her name right now. Um, but that's like this is what they do. This like one of her signature moves. Whenever she dances, or they do like this, do the crown. I definitely felt like I felt validated in it. And it did make me, it did give me, it did pump me up a little bit. But I feel like um deep down, it felt good to be recognized for what I'm doing. And I just don't feel like there's anything wrong with that and enjoying that. And being affirmed in that. It's just the concern of it being like constantly what you're doing it for and what you're seeking that becomes an issue because now you start turning everything that you do into getting more of that validation and getting more of that from people, and it turns into a self-centered approach as opposed to a service approach, and being being willing to serve and uh do that in the most creative way possible. Like that's our goal, that's our mission, and however way that looks, like how can I serve people in the most creative way possible? How can I help them? How can I encourage them? How can I inspire them? How can I equip them? How can I empower them in the most creative way possible? Like that's my mission. And so I receive it and take it in, also knowing that I'm not doing it to receive those accolades. I'm doing it because this is my purpose, and this is how it's being perceived, which I think is cool. So like kind of like reframing it a little bit, not rejecting it, but looking at it um from a different perspective, and in a way where it's like it encourages me. Okay, well, you know what? If what I'm doing is perceived that way, if that's what it's doing, that's the impact that it has, I'm going to continue doing that thing instead of now trying to figure out how I can get more people to call me TikTok royalty. Hey, Andrea. Hey, Andrea. So, yeah, I think that that's I told y'all I was going to talk about modern royalty, and I promise you that I am. I think that I didn't realize I may have needed to sit with it just a little bit more. But there's some things that I'm realizing with myself, especially as it pertains to royalty, that um it just makes me uncomfortable to identify with it. So learning not to reject it because it is actually giving me valuable insight into how my brand is being perceived. You did your answers, Andrea? Okay, good. I'm gonna look at them after this. If not right after, then sometime this evening. Okay. So y'all, this is the last thing that I'm gonna say, okay? And then I will be back on here tomorrow. Okay. Oh, good. I'll be back on here tomorrow. And I'm going to be talking. I'm going to continue this conversation. But I'm going to give y'all the heads up now that this whole process of building your community off social media is going to be a workshop. Okay. So it's going to be you're going to follow all this exciting, encouraging information that you're getting with some practical steps, and I'm really excited to tell y'all about that more once a date is solidified. So that's going to be coming up. And then also at the end of this month, I'm so glad, Kayla. At the end of this month, I am going to be hosting a free event called Courage to Create. Okay. And so at Courage to Create, it is going to be an event for us to reflect, for us to dream and create a vision for how we want not only 2025 to look, but what do we want this next stage to look like? There are so many of us that I know for a fact, okay, you are experiencing a shift in your life. Like it feels like, and not even necessarily like there is some uncertainty there, but more than uncertainty, there's a level of excitement that you're feeling, but you're also not allowing yourself to experience it fully and to tap into what it means. And the reason why you're not doing it is because part of the reason why is because you're afraid to dream, which is why, again, if that post resonated with you, if that stuck to you, I really want you to go and read that post called Ground in the Clouds, because the problem that I know that is the block is that we are literally afraid to dream. We're literally afraid to think or imagine, envision what we really want, what we see ourselves doing, putting words to it. Like almost like if somebody asked you, like, what do you see for yourself next year? It's like, like, and it's not because you don't know, even though that's what you might say. It's because there's a part of you that's afraid to say it out loud. There's a part of you that's afraid to acknowledge it. There's a part of you that's afraid to say, okay, this is what I want, because then that means that there are some things that need to change. There are some challenges and experiences that you need to confront, some difficult conversations you might need to have with yourself, with other people. There's some healing that needs to happen so that you can dream courageously, you can create courageously, and see yourself start to work towards what it is that you want. And so I share in that blog post, a I share about the year that I started dreaming again, because I had lost my ability to dream both literally, like I literally was not dreaming anymore, which is very weird for me because as early as I can remember, I was a dreamer. Like I always had dreams, whether they were scary dreams or good dreams or weird dreams. I always had dreams. And for the most part, I could remember my dreams. And so there was a period of time where I was literally not dreaming anymore. I would go to sleep and I would wake up. And if I did have a dream, I couldn't even remember a piece of it. And it wasn't until someone mentioned how if you have stopped dreaming or if you're no longer dreaming, you should, well, she gave a couple of different things, but it was a call to heal in those areas because dreaming is not only like a way for our brains to heal themselves, to reconcile with what happened, to store memories, to recuperate. We know some of the benefits to just getting rest, but dreaming specifically is another tool that helps us to build our resilience. But so many of us aren't dreaming, so many of us are afraid to dream. And so the courage to create is going to be an opportunity for us to have that space, give ourselves that space to reflect on this year, reflect on what we want, to confront and challenge the things that are keeping us from being able to dream, because being able to dream also impacts how creative you can be, how well you are at making decisions, how good you are at navigating traumatic experiences or experiences that maybe you wouldn't qualify as traumatic, but it's just like it's got you thinking, it's got you stumped. You know what I'm saying? So the event is going to be at the end of this year, the 29th. You can actually register for it now. It is a pay what you want event. So I was gonna make it free. Then I was like, let me leave it open and see what people want to contribute to it. So if you want to contribute zero, you can contribute zero or up to however much you want. There's no minimum and there's no cap, but all you have to do is go and register. That is actually available in my profile. So you can go and click on it and you can register for the event. And if you register, then there will be a replay for it. So, but it's going to be best if you can do it in person. I'm just gonna let you know that now. It's just gonna be a different experience if you do it in person. Yeah, blogs, yes, Nala. Blogs are still absolutely relevant, and are a great thing to invest your time in as a speaker. So go for it. Courage to create sounds like I need to be there. Listen. All these blog posts that I'm putting out, they're all revelations that I am going to be taking into Courage to Create. Okay. Yeah, people be reading stuff, girl. I have a strategy that I've been using to market my blog post, because you can't just create them and then leave them. And so just like with any other piece of content, uh the my suggestion would be to post your blog post on a platform like Substack because it naturally drives traffic, because it operates more like a social media platform than just a website for blogs. However, if you do decide to host your blogs on your own platform, then you would, or your own website rather, then you would definitely need to be directing traffic to them. But even again, a platform like TikTok is a great way to drive traffic to a blog post. A blog post is literally my background, y'all. This is the article that I was quoted in on Forbes. I feel so official saying that. But yeah, I was quoted in this article right here. It's on Forbes. It just dropped like a couple days ago. And this is also like one of the ways that you can direct traffic to your blogs. The biggest thing that you got to remember is just that, don't give them everything as you're talking about it. Thank you guys. Yeah, I'm officially in a publication. Somebody emailed me because they read it too. They was like, I saw you recorded on Forbes," and I was like, "You did see that. I was." but also this feels like a scam. It still felt like a scam, but it was just cool to be like, I saw the article you're quoted in on Forbes. And I was like, just some light, nothing crazy. Oh, yeah. Oh. Yeah, yeah. So the courage to create, that's gonna be with me on the 29th. So if you just need an extra dose of courage, if you want to end this year off addressing the things that you feel like you didn't get to do, or the things that you're not necessarily happy with, or something that maybe you wanted to do this year that you didn't try creatively, something that you maybe did try this year and it just didn't work out the way that you hoped, you know have the courage to try again. Have the courage to say, it didn't work out when I tried it this time. What can I do to make it better? How can I adjust it? How can I change it? How can I shift this? What can I take away from this experience and bring into my new one, because I'm not going to allow this to stop me from trying. That's what the event is really about. So, um um making sure I covered everything. I think that's everything, y'all. So tomorrow I want to say that I'm going to continue this conversation on shifting your platform from social media to, not social media, shifting your audience, your community from social media to a space that you own, okay? And then there's a couple of things that came up that I do want to touch on, but y'all let me know actually from what I talked about today. Is there anything that you want me to go deeper on? Because if not, then I'm thinking that I want to talk some more about dreaming, and being willing to dream again after disappointment, or when reality disappoints you. Or I could talk a little bit more about the failed fashion business. People that pop up in moments of success always puts me on guard. Is that something that you want to talk about? People that pop up in moments of success. Yeah. You know, that's an interesting thing. Oh, that's got me interesting. Okay. I can't talk about it today. I can't talk about it today. But one question I do want you to think about, because I know you'll be back. One question I want you to think about with that is, do you feel apprehensive, or uncomfortable when these people are people that have been around before and are now coming back around when they see success? Or is it more new people who come around at times of success? And how do you navigate finding out who you can feel comfortable with and who you can trust versus who you are more cautious of? Because I asked that question only because, for one, your success is inevitable. Like, your success is inevitable. And the longer you work on something, the more diligent you are with it, the more committed you are, the more resilient, you're naturally going to see success. And so sometimes that means that you end up being in front of people who are just encountering you for the first time. And like, how would you navigate that? Like, are you automatically suspicious because they popped up at a time that you were successful, or is there more to it that makes you uncomfortable? Yeah, cuz I feel like if I didn't know about you and then I only found out about you once you became more popular, or once, like, once I saw something that you did that was a success, um but I'm just meeting you for the first time, like, how do you know my intentions are bad if I literally didn't know you? You know what I'm saying? So those are the questions that come to my mind. But I would love to talk about that a little bit more in depth tomorrow. Do you think creators will navigate over to IG or a completely new platform? That is something that I think I think both. A person can work 10 years in their community and no success and jump online and get immediate success. Yeah. There's this artist. Oh, y'all, okay, last topic. All right, let's vote. Let's vote. Y'all want to help me? Cuz I got like I waited way too long to go live and I apologize for that. So, okay, so here's my ideas. The first idea is to continue this conversation on, the great migration. That's what we're gonna have to call this now, the great migration on social media. Um, should we talk about dreaming when reality disappoints you, how to navigate that? Or should we talk about oh wait, or the talking about my failed fashion business, or should we talk about it was one more that what you just said made me think about. I lost it. I lost it. Okay. I see a vote for the Great Migration. And then Richard, I would cover your question in that. Because that is a good question. And you said beauty creators. I missed that at first. My apologies. Do I think beauty creators will navigate over ah that's a good question. That's a good question. Okay. All right. So we got two votes for the Great Migration. Branding is key, so the migration is important. I agree. I agree. I be feeling like once I've talked about something for a long time, y'all get tired of me talking about it. I see another migrate. I see fashion business. Oh, I knew you was gonna want that one, Kayla. I'll make that one. I'll still talk about it, but I might make that one for a later video. Because it's definitely a lot of migration. So okay, so then I will touch on beauty creators, and I think that like all beauty creators are not equal. Like they're not, and not even in terms of like their value or creativity, but more so just in the way that they create beauty. Like there's still so many different ways that beauty creators can differentiate themselves. So that's a really good question. Um, and then what role does branding play in migration, in the Great Migration? And oh, that's going to be good. What role does branding play in that, and allowing you to be successful with it? Oh, y'all giving me some stuff. Okay. Okay. So those are the topics. Okay. Before I go, so the Great Migration, we're going to talk about the Great Migration tomorrow. What other questions do you have for me that you want me to touch on during that time? If there are any. If there are not, then I'll just start talking and then, we can find questions from there. None? None? Okay. All right, y'all. Well, we're gonna talk about that tomorrow then. Tools or apps that help streamline consistency. Oh, okay. All right, that's a good one too. That's a good one too. Okay. I will definitely touch on that. That means I'm gonna have to try one out myself and see how I feel about it. Uh okay, it's not a problem. I need help with where to place my content schedule. Okay then. Well, you hear that, friend? My friend Bullock, she's in here. We run for Trendsetters Only together, our Telegram community, which is amazing that did not mention it once in this whole conversation about community. I'll talk about it more tomorrow. Because I didn't really go too hard on the community piece, but she is a social media manager. And so I'm sure that she can give some suggestions on tools that not only help to streamline for consistency, but also that help with maintaining your calendar and putting it somewhere. Oh, yes, that's a great idea. Yes, please add it in Telegram. You can put it in the content channel. The Google Drive is not like in my face enough. Yeah, no, the Google Drive, it has its role, but yeah, it there you need to have something that you're gonna always refer to. Bullet points on what each platform likes and doesn't like for different brands. Okay. Uh, my pen is not here. I'm just gonna have to go back and look at these. I had to move to a large physical 90-day calendar. Really? My physical calendars just be collecting dust, y'all. I be feeling so sorry for them. I buy them with such high hopes just to neglect them. Just to neglect them. Yeah. I'll give the ones that I use, but I'm gonna ask Antoinette for some to give y'all options because what I do may not be the best thing for you. So yeah. Well, I got y'all. I got y'all. Those are some really good points. So we'll touch on those. I really like when you said about the bullet points on what each platform likes and doesn't for different brands. Okay. These are all good, y'all. So let's say that I will be back tomorrow. Let's say it's gonna be. Oh, let me not tell y'all that now. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Y'all, if your notifications, if you're not notified, if you don't get notified when I go live, make sure y'all turn your notifications on. Okay. If you're on YouTube, that's probably the best place to do it. Um, and I will schedule it, pinky promise. I will schedule it so that you can just know what time I decide. But I gotta look at my calendar first and make sure I don't just tell y'all an arbitrary time and it don't work. Um, but it might end up being a little bit earlier in the day, and then me and Antoinette, we can tag team it. So, yeah, let us strategize, and then I'll come back and I'll give y'all a definite time. But until then, make sure your notifications are on. All right, y'all, make sure y'all subscribed and that you get notified when I do go live so that you don't miss it and all your questions can be answered and addressed. And that'll be that. All right, y'all. So this was fun. I enjoyed myself. Um, I'm really excited that this is a topic that y'all are really engaging with. Because it's one that I love talking about, clearly. So I'm excited to continue this all tomorrow. Okay. Yes, Nala, you definitely get an award for engagement today because you were on it. Okay. On it. It was a pleasure meeting you. Hey, Monica. I loved it. I loved it. And y'all know she's not the only person that was engaged, but she's new. So I wanted to make sure that I shouted that out because that's just I love it when people just jump in and start just like talking to me. Yeah, them my people. My pleasure, y'all. All right, so y'all have a good rest of y'all night. I will be back tomorrow. We're going to talk about part 2 of the Great Migration. I may be doing this with Antoinette, so we can answer any questions that y'all have. We can tag team it, and we're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be very informative. So y'all be safe, be good, and I'll talk to you in the next video.